All right, we're back again. This is day two. I'm just reading you live. This is me actually literally live recording the what will be the audiobook for How Can I Help You Today? And I really do hope that you'll enjoy the process. I was going to record it anyway, and I was just going to do like I normally do and open up Zoom and record it. And I decided I was encouraged at the thought, and then went a little more deep with it and decided I'm just going to do this live, just like we do our lives every day at noon. And I'm not going to promise that I'm doing this every single day like I do our consistent lives, but this book needs to come out. I want it to be out and available for folks. And I wanted you to see a live view of exactly what it takes to record your audiobook, because you should be the one that is the voice for your audiobook. Let's get out of our head about how, we do or don't have the right voice for it or any of those kind of things. It really does need to be us. So once again, when I move the document over here in front of me, as you can see, my hair is not as good. I don't have a dress shirt on. When I move the document over here in front of me, I won't be able to see comments. Please do comment if something jumps out at you. I'm glad to have you here and I did it intentionally. I'm going to do just like I did yesterday, and I'm going to completely shut off my phone. I want this to be exclusive time just for this book. This book is important. I've been working on it for more than a year now, and now is its time for it to come out. And I'm just going to be here reading it to you. So just trying to get back to where we were, and the recording's already running. Like I said, you're welcome to jump in and be here with us. I want to make this script just a little bit bigger, because in that moving it to the other screen, it got a little small. So let's go. Okay, fine. Oh, that might be a little bit much. Okay, like I said, just doing exactly what I'd be doing if I was doing this like I normally do, on a Zoom, just in my own room, by myself without anybody here joining. So jump in, feel free, enjoy the process, enjoy the ride with me, enjoy this fly that's buzzing around me. You'll notice again that when when I mess up, I'm just going to stop, take a minute, like 10 or 15 seconds, recoup, and move on. And I've got a bottle of water here, and there will be times when I stop and drink water, and that's okay too. We'll do the edit and the technical mix down and everything later. This is just getting the words onto the page. Okay? So we did the preface and the introduction chapters yesterday, and now we're going to move on. A life of radical generosity. Nothing that you have not given away will ever really be yours. C.S. Lewis. I think in one way or another, everybody believes in giving to some extent. The question becomes, what is your limit? What is your level? And how natural is giving to you? I want to introduce you to the concept today of radical generosity, of giving not until it hurts, but giving as a free expression and outflow of who you are and how you show up in the world. For me, it's always been something that I just naturally did, just as naturally as breathing. The concept of not just being a giver, but being a big giver has always been something that's been easy for me. From my very earliest memories, I remember a charity person coming to the door. They were raising funds for whatever the thing might have been. I remember running back happily to my room. I had 1 quarter, and I came back out with a quarter, and I gave them that quarter very happily and generously. The spirit inside of a small child often is like that. But somehow, throughout the course of life, often we lose that. We give to someone less than good, others. When we give to someone, less than good things happen. And as we get older, we tend to have expectations of what we're going to get if we give, rather than just having radical generosity, rather than having it be as easy for us as it is for that small child. If you ever look at a small child on the playground, you can see them. They will share their lunches. They will share the toys in the sandbox. It's just typically who they naturally are. And then we create, as adults, the more refined version of ourselves that ends up eliminating that pure, innocent desire to give. Now, again, I understand. I've had it happen in my own life, and I've seen the times when I've been unwilling even to give, let alone generously in my giving. And I know that it's a reflection of the hurt and the pain that I've been through rather than the spirit that's inside of me. But when I tune into the pure version of myself, I can see giving in my own life and then in the lives of those around me is so easily and freely given. Have you ever been in your car, like in the car line at a coffee place or something like that? And when you pull up to the drive through, they say to you, the person in front of you paid for you. Now, I admit, I think we've probably all been in this place where the blessing of that person having paid for your food is beyond what they will ever know, because the meal wasn't something that you really could afford, but it was a situation that you had to feed your children. Do things like that do things like that that weren't necessarily something you had money to spend, but again, you felt you needed to or had to, and that person's unknown generosity helped you in a time that they'll never know just how big of an impact it made. But most of the time, we just go up to the drive through. We have every expectation of paying for the drinks or the food or whatever we might have ordered. And when we were told the person in front of us is paid, there's that moment. We've all been through it. We've all been the one who has done both sides, both where we've been grateful as well as where we've passed on the generosity. It's fun to talk to the worker sometimes and see what the longest string of people paying for the drink of the person behind them is. Sometimes it goes on for a long, long period of time, and other times it fizzles out all too quickly. Because though generosity should be a natural way of life, often it is one of the most difficult things that we do. And that's when the world is going normal, when the economy seems fine, when you feel like you're growing financially and you're doing okay. But sometimes extreme things happen. COVID-9 hit, but sometimes extreme things happen. COVID-19 hits and the whole world is locked down. Money stops flowing like it has normally. And though the government may send out checks, no matter how large those checks were, regular unemployment, any of those kind of things, rarely does it meet the needs or even come up to the level that we're used to. And when it does, it isn't the kind of thing that allows us to advance and grow and be more than we were before the check came. And yet, in those times, the generosity and the giving is even more important. I'll never forget the miracles that happened through COVID-19 because of the simple I'll never forget the miracles that happened through COVID-19 because of the simple. I'll never forget the miracles that happened through COVID-19 because of the simple things that I committed to, no matter what else it meant in my own life. That I was going to keep the employees that I had on payroll paid. And so, throughout the course of the entire time of lockdown and beyond, I'm delighted at the fact that I was able to keep 4 people employed full time through all of that. Even when at one point I found myself on unemployment because I wasn't paying myself. There's a fun conversation to have with your accountant when you're telling. That's always a fun conversation to have with your accountant when they're telling you that you're unemployed, even though you're working so hard. It's that kind of generosity. Can you give when you won't receive? Will you give to help and aid others when you have needs of your own? Can you believe that in being radically generous, being grateful for those around you and loyal to them, can you believe that generosity and leading with generosity can and will be not only its own reward, but lead to greater things, possibly even things you wouldn't have imagined? There's a certain kind of joy that comes from this, a certain kind of joy that comes from this kind of giving, a kind of fulfillment. Yes, I do make faces. There's a certain kind of joy that comes from this kind of giving, a kind of fulfillment that is found in the most simple acts of giving that can be found nowhere else. There's a simple scientific concept. Our brains literally cannot be in fear and anger and the other quote unquote negative emotions, if you will, and be in service at the same time. And often the best thing we can do when we're feeling down in any sort of way, lonely, in pain, in fear or anguish, and all of those emotions that are typically not very fun to have, the best thing we can do is do something for everybody, for anyone else, to reach out to someone. It can be as simple as a smile. How many times can you think How many times can you think of, again, going back to, say, for example, COVID, the person working in the grocery store in the middle of a time of panic and crisis for so many people? They're, they were there, and you could tell, even behind the mask, that they were happy and smiling. And the lilt in their voice and the joy in just what they were doing was palpable. It was real. It was something worth experiencing. Conversely, there were times when you went through the line and you could tell the person was struggling. They probably had family members that were sick or even possibly had passed away, and yet they were there at work again, doing their job, serving you in the most simple and in the most basic of your needs. And if you have had, and if you experienced during that time or in other times how powerful a smile and a thank you can be, all too often in the most mundane of places, there's an opportunity to give without. All too often, in the most mundane of places, there is an opportunity to give without getting or an opportunity to receive for the pure purpose of just giving. And when we do, it makes such a difference in the person's life. To just simply thank the person who is bagging the groceries or running the things through the register. Thank them for what they're doing. Absolutely. We want to be grateful to our service members, grateful for the service and their lives that they put on the line for us to be free, and to the first responders and the police officers and others like that who give their lives for us. It's easy to see. Hopefully, it's easy for us to see just how amazing what they give to each of us is. But there are so many unsung heroes working in daycare centers. I again think back to COVID and the people working at the drugstore. If you're like I am, you have if you are like I am, you have regular medications that you have to take, and you had to at least go through a drive-through, if not go into the store and get whatever items you needed, especially that prescription. Again, here's a person putting themselves in a potentially dangerous way to serve you. One of the most fun things I did during COVID, one of the most fun things I did during COVID was when I went to the grocery store to get a prescription refilled. And while I was there, I grabbed whatever certain things I needed. I don't even remember, but when I got up to the cash register, two things were apparent. It was apparent how generous the heart and soul of the lady behind the counter was. And it was apparent that there was basically nobody there. They were there doing busy work, I assume for the random person like myself that found it necessary to have to come inside. There were a total of three people working in the drugstore. And so after I paid, I handed the lady a 20. I smiled behind the mask that I was wearing, but trying to make sure that my eyes also showed the appreciation. And I simply said, "Lunch for you and everybody here working is on me today. Thank you so much for being here." And I handed her the money. No, I didn't stick around to see if they ordered a pizza or whatever else they might have done. She might not have even known what to do. She may have had to report it. I don't know what the rules for the place was, but I was grateful. It was in that heart and that spirit of gratitude that we are the healthiest and most well and are doing the greatest and best in the world. And that is so worth it. A great place to give a tip, if you've never done it, you've got to try this, is to tip somebody in a place that doesn't even have the possibility for tips. I remember going through one particular drive-through one time, and after they had handed me the food, you know how they swipe the card and all those kind of things, and they don't ask for a tip or even know how to. I handed the young lady, she was probably a high school student, I don't know. I handed her a $5 bill. She said, "What's this?" I said, "It's for you. Thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it." Now, again, I don't know what kind of impact that has made. I know in my life, there have been many times when financially I've been desperate, and somebody giving me $5 or a $20 bill or buying the meal that was the person in line in front of me, or a bag of groceries for those of you that haven't, and somebody giving $5 or $20, or buying the meal that person in front of the line, and somebody giving $5 or $20, or buying the meal as the person in line in front of me, or buying a bag of groceries, or for those of you that have ever had children, a bag of diapers. There were times when that was worth more than silver, gold, and diamonds and everything else anybody else could have possibly given. Those people will probably never know what an impact they made that day in my life. I think often of them. I think of them often. And I made the choice on purpose to give. And I made the choice on purpose to give, and to give selflessly with a joyous and positive attitude, giving it forward with the spirit of a giver on purpose, because it's a difference. It's a difference I know I can make. Whether I'm giving a small amount of money or even just a happy smile and a thank you, the value that brings into the other person's life is worth more than anything you could ever give. And the feeling that you get inside is better than anything you could ever receive. Take action. Here's a few ways you can live a life of radical generosity today. 1. Give without overthinking. Pick one small way to give today without hesitation. Buy someone a cup of coffee, tip extra, or even just send an encouraging message. 2. Keep a giving journal. Each night, write down one way you gave and how it made you feel. 3. Start a pay it forward chain. Do something kind for a stranger and encourage them to do it. 3. Start a pay it forward chain. Do something kind for a stranger and encourage them to do it for the next person, for someone else. An abundance mindset. When you focus on being a blessing, God makes sure that you're always blessed in abundance. Joel Osteen. Giving isn't always easy. As natural as it has been for me to give, there have been seasons in my life when it felt anything but easy. The world doesn't always understand the spirit of giving, and sometimes that misunderstanding comes from the people that are closest to you. What you focus on grows. What you focus on grows. Wherever your mind is, wherever your heart is, wherever things what you focus on grows. Wherever your mind is, wherever your heart is, whatever things your eyes are on, those are the directions you're going to go. One of the first things they teach you when you're driving is to keep your eyes on the road. If you look off, especially to the side, your hands have a tendency to turn toward where you're looking. It's important for us to keep our eyes on what's truly important. Yet all too often, especially with giving, we find ourselves focused not on the giving, but on what we're going to get from what we have given. I've seen this mindset show up time and time again, even in myself. I once listened to someone teaching about the importance of giving first. Initially, I was encouraged by the message, but as they continued, They began to explain how giving could be used as leverage to make others feel like they owed you something. That moment stopped me in my tracks. I had to reflect deeply on the kinds of things going through my own mind when I gave. Do I think about blessing the other person? Do I think about their needs? Am I giving as a natural outflow of who I am, or am I giving just for what's in it for me? This struggle to maintain the purity of giving is amplified by how society often approaches it. We see it even in the church. We're told that if we tithe, God will bless us more than we can ever imagine. But this can turn into a mechanical transaction, like the Pharisees counting every leaf on a tree to give exactly 10%. It becomes less about the heart of giving and more about the expecting an overwhelming return. But true abundance doesn't come from this transactional mindset. It comes from bringing all that we are and all that we have to the table. Only in giving all of ourselves can we find true blessing, not because we're giving to get, but because our hearts and minds are in the right place where they can bless the world and do the things only we can do. Imagine what the world would be like if just for one day, everyone, all 8 billion of us, tried to be the best version of themselves. If we committed to giving without thought of reward, purely with the intent of making the world a better place, the ripple effect would be extraordinary. For me, this journey has been anything but straightforward. There have been times when even those closest to me questioned my motives or believed I was being taken advantage of in my giving. Their concerns, though rooted in care, often made me feel isolated, like the odd one out. At times, I've even tried to suppress my natural inclination to give. I began holding back, calculating the cost, and focusing inward. In those minutes, in those moments, I felt hollow, a walking ghost of myself. I became what I can only describe as a zombie, alive but disconnected from purpose. Yet through surrendering to my truth and embracing the concept of giving as a wide conduit, I found my spark again. Abundance flows when we allow ourselves to be conduits. I remember seeing the largest metal culvert I've ever encountered, so big that massive trucks could pass through it with ease. It reminded me of the company that I still own. It's called Alvias, which means wide conduit. At the time, the focus was on internet speeds and connectivity, but the concept grew to mean so much more. When the beginning, middle, and the end of the conduit are wide open, unrestricted, and equal, an incredible amount can flow through it. That's the essence of abundance. But often we crimp the middle, try to hold on to everything for ourselves, or we block the flow out, fearing we won't have enough. When we do this, we create pressure and restriction, which ultimately diminishes the blessing for ourselves and for others. True abundance is a flow, a river of blessings moving freely. Think of the largest pipe you can imagine, filled from end to end, not with water, but with liquid diamonds. At any given time, there is trillions flowing in, trillions in the middle to meet your needs, and trillions flowing out. That's what it means to live in a wide conduit, to embrace the Alveus mindset. But abundance doesn't work if we hold on too tightly or if we let fear dictate our actions. When we crimp the flow, we not only reduce the blessings we receive, but also the blessings we can give to others. Regardless of what you believe, our actions define our outcomes. When we approach life with a selfish, greedy mindset, asking, "What's in it for me?" we often find ourselves wanting more never satisfied. But when we give purely for the joy of giving, the rewards, though not our motivation, go far beyond anything we could ever imagine. This is the heart of true giving, being a vessel through which blessings flow freely. This is the heart of true giving, being a vessel through which blessings flow freely, unrestricted by fear or selfishness. It's about understanding that abundance isn't about what you hold on to, it's about what flows through you. If we focus on being a blessing, God will ensure that we are blessed abundantly. This mindset has changed my life, and I believe it can change yours too. Let's embrace it together. Let's live as wide conduits, vessels of blessing, making a difference. Let's live as wide conduits, vessels of blessings, making a difference in the world in ways we can't even begin to measure. Can you believe that? Can you see it? Let's choose to live it. Take action. Here are a few ways you can live out. Take action. Here are a few ways you can live out an abundance mindset. 1. Daily gratitude check-in. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each morning before starting your day. 2. Reframe scarcity thoughts. Each time you feel like you don't have enough, challenge that thought by listing out what you do have. 3. Give before you receive. The next time you're in a business situation, offer something of value without expecting anything in return. Okay, that's a couple more chapters for today. I hope that you're getting as much out of this as I've gotten. You can see now why it's been something that has had to work its way through my spirit and has challenged everything that I've done. And I can guarantee you that as you embrace this, you will live abundance. And abundance probably won't show up the way that you think it does. In other words, you're not going to have somebody give you a diamond mine. You'll probably, in fact, have people challenge you that they need you to give to them for free. I encourage you to stay the course. Go for it. Do it. You've got this. We'll be back tomorrow or probably tomorrow. Maybe. I do have a little bit of a busy afternoon tomorrow, but hopefully tomorrow to read more of the book to you. We are going to get through this audiobook together, and then I'll take these segments of me reading it, and I'll edit that down and turn it into the audiobook, which will be available along with the book that's being currently edited. You can see while I was reading today, if you were watching the video, there was a couple places I even had to edit some words. There are a couple of missing words, a couple of misspelled words. It's things like that that you find, even after you've been through the book 1,000 times. And that's okay. And it's also kind of fun to read it out to you. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it really blessed you. And I hope that you really will embrace being generous, living a life of radical generosity. Thanks for joining me again. I know it's the second time today, but that's cool too. I really look forward to hearing all the stories of the ways that you were able to radically give to somebody today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, all the times you do it. Thanks for joining me. Till we're together again next time, have a great week.